Hello there, everybody. Long time no see, folks. It's been a while, but welcome back to the Guys Who Stare at Stats. We'll be switching more to a bit of a segmented form here as we enter the summer months. It's been a busy few times, but as always, folks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to know when we upload videos because it's going to be a busy week. Andrew here along with me. It is conference finals time, and before we do that, we have to talk about what seems like a yearly disappointment, I'm sure, for you, Andrew. I know I don't want to be too harsh on you because I had to go through this last year as well, but the Sixers have officially fired Doc Rivers, and to some people, they felt like this was a long time coming, but you're the Sixers fan here. You've watched them a lot more than I have, I'm sure. I'll let you just hop right onto it.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time coming. You could have made the argument after last season. You could have pulled this move after a disappointing end of last year when you lose in 7 games. You blow two 20-point leads in 2 of those losses, and I think a 15-point lead in one of those, and to make that 3 of the 4 losses there. And to the Atlanta Hawks, you've lost 3 Game 7s in the last 4 years now, and that fourth year was a sweep. I forget if it was round 1 or 2, but either way, obviously, a sweep is not ideal. So this was a long time coming. Do I dislike Doc Rivers? No. Do I think he was the only problem with this team? Absolutely not. But some points when you're in charge, especially in the pros, you don't have too long of a leash. I mean, he's been here for a long time now, 3 full seasons. Again, I just ran through the last couple of years, what has happened. And in the end, it just continued to see the same mistakes. And he got out-coached in this series to the Celtics by a guy who's never been there before in terms of head coaching experience in the second round of the playoffs. So that was disappointing because that was one of the things, as the series is going 7, it keeps going back and forth. As a fan, you're trying to figure out an advantage, right? And one of the things as a fan you think you would have an advantage is the head coach. When you have a long-time head coach, a coach that's won a championship before going against a rookie coach, and it's like, okay, we should have the advantage here. But no, I mean, Doc Rivers got out-coached here, and it was clear, especially late in Game 6 and then all of Game 7. When the Celtics made adjustments, the Sixers really didn't. I do think it's unfortunate. Again, I got nothing against Doc. I think overall he's a good coach. Obviously, he's got a good resume. I don't think he'll have trouble finding a new job. But again, just look at the rest of the league. The turnover. Nick Nurse fired. Mike Budenholzer fired 2 years after winning a championship. Who else? Monty Williams. I mean, he was supposed to be one of the next big-time coaches. He was a Sixers assistant. He goes to the Suns, and, they had Chris Paul out for most of the series. DeAndre Ayton was dealing with stuff too, and, now he's fired after, I guess disappointing year for them, even though they lost to the number 1 seed in the West. And, if they would have had Durant all year, it would have been a different seeding for them. So it's just the way the NBA is, I guess. And again, it's unfortunate to see anybody, lose their job. But again, I think it was a long time coming for the Sixers. And again, I think it's the right move, assuming you go out and get the right coach.
And that's what I was wondering a bit here, looking into what happened during that Game 7. Obviously, the 112-88 game. Everyone knows what the big problem was. You can see it right here. That third quarter, 33-10, just all momentum coming to a stop. Boston just completely taking over the game from there. And it was one of those, as I was watching it, just seeing the Sixers slowly just fall apart, which is something that when I watched the first half of the game, like most people, I thought, okay, they're playing tight. It's a raucous crowd in the Garden, as you'd expect. Everything's going well. Jason Tatum is going off, and Philadelphia's just hanging right there with them. I was looking at it, I was thinking, this might actually be the moment that we see Joel Embiid and James Harden step up. They're playing well. Everything's going well so far. And then that third quarter just hits them like a truck. And, just everything goes downhill. Boston just slowly takes over the game. And at that point, it's almost like if you're Doc Rivers, what can you do? You can't tell Joel Embiid, go make a contested 25-footer. You can't tell James Harden, you have a wide-open lane. Why are you passing the ball when he keeps doing it repeatedly? This is one of those that, yes, I think it had to happen, and I think obviously now with the coaches you mentioned, Andrew, Monty Williams will be available, Mike Budenholzer will be available, Nick Nurse will be available. You have guys that have won. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be another fun off season. I know it's always going to come at someone's expense, though, but that's why I love the NBA. There's never a dull moment in this league, and we're going to see what happens here. But, just looking at some of the statistics you can look at. Philadelphia shoot 21% from three, and it's never a fun time. When Tobias Harris is your leading scorer, I know he's a fun player to watch, but you have an MVP and you have James Harden. That's never a fun time there.
Yeah, no, and going off a couple of your points there, first one I'll tackle is just the hope. To your point, you go into halftime, you're only down 3, and as a fan, obviously, you're always you're looking for ways to stay upbeat throughout a game, and obviously, you have a challenge in front of you with a Game 7, and you watch the entire season, the ups and downs of the team. And you come out and see P.J. Tucker hit 3 threes in the first quarter, and he's the game's leading scorer after the first with 11 points. And it's like, this couldn't be any better. I mean, your guys haven't even settled in. You had this veteran who's probably averaged maybe 3.5 points a game all season, comes out, hits 11. You figure, okay, yeah, like you said, Cade, you figure, okay, Embiid's going to find his groove at some point. Harden's going to find his groove. It's like, this, to me, obviously, outside of them starting strong, like, this couldn't have worked out better. The veteran you signed in the offseason is carrying the team through the first quarter until hopefully everybody settles in. And then, like you said, Harris was your game leading scorer, so another kind of veteran throughout the league was trying to pick people up. And then, the game-changing moment for me in Game 7 was the Sixers were up by 9. I can't remember the exact time in the second quarter. I think it was 39-30 or something like that, 40-something, whatever. But it was the James Harden flagrant. It really killed all momentum the Sixers had. You saw the Celtics knock down both foul shots. They come back, hit a 3, get a steal, and get a dunk. You call a timeout. Your 8-9 point lead's already shrunk to 1 or 2. That was the moment it all changed. And then you had the stupid incident with George Niang. I don't know what you're doing, trying to grab Brown's leg. That, again, you're up. I think at that point you build it back to 6 or 7. That kind of sparked a little trash talking and stuff, and woke up the crowd, woke up the Celtics, and they took over from that point. So I think those were the two key, not obvious full-on plays that really changed the game, more momentum killers than anything for the Sixers, momentum swings for the Celtics, for their fan base and everything. And those were the big plays that sense. And then, yeah, like you said, Cade, Embiid and Harden never found a groove in that game. And you let Tatum go for 51. And I think that kind of goes on coaching, too, is if you watched it, they kept switching everything, giving Tatum 3, and Rivers never adjusted his defense. He let the same switch keep happening. He never once tried somebody else to switch on him. And Tucker, who I just mentioned, had that great first quarter, barely plays after the first quarter for some reason. And he's one of those bigger guys that could have made a difference. He should have played more throughout that game. And then, the last thing on Rivers not getting the job done was when Embiid in Game 6 goes 5 minutes without the ball. I get it. Rivers isn't out there. It's hard in controlling the floor, but you're the coach. You're calling the plays. I mean, call a play to Embiid. Yeah. Call 5 plays to Embiid when you're struggling to find a basket there late down the stretch. So, again, it's the whole team, and then it was a move that had to happen. But, yeah, disappointing on the Sixers end.
And so I'm interested, obviously, like I said, you watch the season, you have the hope, you have all of this happen, and, I mean, it's just repeat of year after year after year. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure I asked this question to you last year. You fire Doc Rivers. There's no Ben Simmons anymore. He can't hurt you. It's Embiid and Harden now. Where do you go from here if you're Philadelphia?
Yeah. Coaching-wise, I would lean Mike Budenholzer just because he's a 2-time NBA Coach of the Year. He's an NBA champion. He's dealt with superstars in Giannis before, He's had a big in Brook Lopez who can stretch the floor. So, obviously, it's not apples to apples comparison, but he's dealt with similar stuff. I'm not against, a Sam Cassell or Monty Williams, but I would just rather a guy that's been in the big moment before. To me, with this roster constructed now, you go get one of those guys rather than a chance guy who you don't know yet. Because I think Sam Cassell will get a job. He's a current Sixers assistant that would be the front runner if they go stay in house. But I think he'll find another job. I think he's more that, you have an upcoming team that he could take over, not necessarily a team ready now to win. I don't really know the full free agency list yet. I haven't recovered yet enough to start looking into that. But position-wise, I'm all for you need to add depth. You didn't have much of that in the playoffs. I mean, you're going Middleton struggled. D'Anthony Melton struggled, so then you're kind of scrapping, didn't have much. So I would love to add another shooter, and then you need a backup center. I think that was big when Andre Drummond was here. It helped Embiid not have to play 40-plus minutes every game, and I think you saw that kind of wear on him, especially with the LCL injury in the playoffs. So in terms of that, I don't think I'm not on the blow it up restart yet. I think you kind of, assuming you bring back Harden, you have a chance to go out and go one more year before you kind of do things like that, because Harden does have a player option one more year, and we'll see if he accepts or declines it. But if he declines it, you got all this money. You can go out and sign a couple guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in that sense. But yeah, if assuming you can bring the core back, I like to add a shooter and then a good backup center. Nothing against Paul Reed. Game one fun Paul Reed story was fun, but he's not a championship backup center. I think Andre Drummond might be a free agent, so I'd love to bring him back. He was the backup a year ago before we traded him in the Harden deal. So, yeah, I'm not ready to blow things up yet. I give it at least one more year. Bring in a coach, see what you do in the offseason, see if you can save it one more time before you kind of hit the reset button.
And I agree. I think it's one of those, if you're looking in-house, obviously, like you mentioned, Sam Cassell's right there. If not, I would think it comes down to either Monty Williams or Mike Budenholzer. I think those are guys that they both have experience. Budenholzer, obviously, more. He has that championship. He's dealt with superstars, like you said before. Monty Williams has as well, but he's not been dealt the best of hands, obviously, with Aiden and Chris Paul both injured in the playoffs this year. But it'll be intriguing to see. That's really all I could say is it's a time to be alive, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I'll tell you what, you know who's about to get paid is Mike Budenholzer, because I think his two real options, because let's be real, I don't think he's going to want to go take over a young team that he's got to go through a couple years of rebuilding. I think it's going to come down to the Sixers and Suns, and I think it's going to just be a straight bidding war for him. I think he's about to get paid a lot of money just because, again, he's got the resume. He's probably the best coach on the market right now, and those two teams, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think from the available coaches who need to coach, I think those are probably your two front runners in championship quality teams who need a coach. So I think those two teams become a bidding war for him.
I'm just saying, as a Mavs fan, I will gladly give Jason Kidd away for anybody.
You don't have a coach. You have a coach right now, so you don't
I do. I'm happy to give him away for free to anyone to throw our hat in the ring here, but obviously we'll talk about that. If the Mavs win the draft lottery tonight, you'll see me running around town like a crazy person. But I don't know. I'd probably come up here and make a video about that. But, folks, that'll be it for this video. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. We want to hear what you think. We always appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one, everybody.